Hello, it's Morgan from the CheekyHomemaker.com. Today we're talking about our very favorite car toys for preschoolers. So car toys are one of those things that rotate through the car based on whatever the kids like at the moment, but there are many staples that more or less live in the car at all times because they're just so perfect as car toys. And by car toys, I mean toys for the kids to play with in their car seats. I did a previous video on my top 8 car toys for babies, so I will link that for you guys to check out if you haven't seen it and if you do have a little one. But today we're talking about preschoolers. My daughter is currently 4.5, so I'm going to be showing you some of the things that she's been loving for the last 6 months, some of them up to a year. Don't forget to stay tuned until the end of this video because I'm going to share a tip for you that takes normal coloring books to the next level and makes it a lot more manageable for inside the car. So the first thing is a notebook and pen. This is one of those sequined notebooks that you can turn the sequins either direction. It just has plain lined paper inside. She hasn't quite learned to write on the lines very well yet. She's still kind of all over the page, so you really could do any sort of notebook, any sort of paper. The key for her is she loves fancy pens. So we have spent a fortune on fancy pens. When things are in the car, it's more likely they will become lost because they get taken into restaurants and whatnot. So I went ahead and made our own fancy pens, these flower pens. I did a complete tutorial for you guys, so I'll also link that. But they're really easy to do. They're really fun for the kids to do with you, and you can make them look however you want. There's all sorts of different flowers you can choose from. So this is something that's so versatile because she can practice writing in it, she can draw pictures in it, sometimes she will pretend she's taking notes as we're talking in the car. There's all sorts of things you can do with a pen and paper, and you can even tear pages out to make paper airplanes in a pinch. The next item that I have for you is child binoculars. Now these are in my mom's car, so I don't have them to show for you, but I will take a picture from Amazon that you should be seeing right now. Child binoculars have much less of a magnification than adult binoculars do. So what that means is, I don't know about you, but I have gotten lost when looking through a pair of binoculars trying to see something in particular, and I move, or if you're in a car that's moving, then all of a sudden you're not sure what you're looking at and it takes you a while to find your target. Well, for a child that would be extremely frustrating. So they make them with much less of a magnification. So they are great for the car because not only are they fun to start looking at things with, but your child can pretend that they're an explorer on a safari or any sort of other make-believe that can go along with the binoculars. We have a lot of fun with them. Another item that my daughter absolutely loves is this scratch and sketch book. This is her 3rd of these, I believe, and it comes with a little wooden, it's basically a pointed dowel, but it's kind of like a pen or a pencil. And the pages have tracing items on them. So this one's already been done. Unfortunately, I don't have a book with ones that haven't been done to show you, but it's a metallic or colorful background once you scratch it off. So see, this one's metallic silver, and it gives you an outline. Most of them do. There's a few that don't give you any outline, but see, this one had an outline of shoes, and she scratched it off to reveal the rainbow beneath. And you can go outside the lines, you can decorate as much as you want. They give you a little bit of inspiration over here. We do have another one that is a unicorn book, and instead of inspiration on this side, there's an entire storyline that goes with it, so it becomes a reading book also. These are fantastic, and no, they don't make a big mess with the stuff that scratches off. It's not like scratchers that you get, you know, for gambling. Much less messy than that, and a lot of fun. This is something that the first one she received was for Christmas, and my husband and I both were waiting for our turn to play with it. It's a lot of fun for adults too, I have to admit. The next item I felt guilty about purchasing, but we were going on an airplane and then more or less road trip. So we were going to be flying and then staying in the car, and my husband and I are not big on handing the kids our phones to entertain them at all. Very rarely does that even happen. We think it's so sad when we see people out to eat and they're all staring at their phones and nobody's having a conversation. But the flip side of that is our children are growing up in a day of lots of technology, and they're going to be expected to know how to do it. So we're trying to find the balance for our own personal lifestyle. No judgment for however you run your household, but we did break down and buy our 4-year-old a tablet. I think we got it just before she turned 4. I think she was about 3.5. Anyway, this is the Kindle Fire. kids tablet by Amazon. And what I love so much about this is, first of all, it comes with this bumper case on the outside. That is part of the package, and it makes it pretty durable and really easy for the kids to grab. It also comes with, it's called Free Time Unlimited. So you get 1 year of this when you purchase this tablet. And after that, I think it's really inexpensive, like $4 or $6 a year, something like that. But that basically means you get access to all sorts of different books, TV shows, movies, and games. And you can go and download them in advance so they're on the tablet's memory when you're going to be where you don't have any Wi-Fi. And you can also, what I sometimes do is I'll put it in airplane mode so that my daughter can only access the things I've already downloaded. And that keeps her from just clicking. One of the complaints about these is that kids will click on a bunch of things and it doesn't open immediately because it's downloading, because when they clicked on it, if it's something that's not already on the memory, it takes a bit to download. So they'll click on it, doesn't open right away. They click on something else. Now they've downloaded a ton of things, not even realizing what they're doing. I found putting it in airplane mode pretty much solves that problem, and it limits her to what I've already pre-approved to download. Now, it is a kid's app, so it's not like she's going to get on here and stumble across something that she shouldn't be. It is the full version of the tablet, though, so you can sign out of the kids portion of it and sign into the adult section, and that is the full version of this Fire tablet. So it has all the functionality. You can have your own stuff on here. It can be a shared tablet. We do use this just for my daughter, but I am able to download apps that aren't within the Free Time program, and I download them in my profile and I can add them to her profile. So anything like, let's say Netflix, I don't think Netflix was in the Free Time Unlimited. You can add that app and pre-download shows onto Netflix if you have a membership with them. And the other thing that's amazing about this tablet is they give you, I believe it's a 1 year, it might be 2, but I know it's at least 1 year, no hassle warranty. If your kid drops this, steps on it, damages it in any way, they say no questions asked, that they will replace it for you. I'm sure it will be a replacement with a refurbished one, but you know, better than having just a broken tablet, right? So we did have a few problems with it downloading items when we were on our road trip, and they have since updated the whole way the program works. So I haven't had any problems with it since then, but they did after I called them and did some troubleshooting over the phone, they sent me a new tablet. So I think that and it wasn't refurbished. They sent me a new one that time. They credited me the amount I had purchased it for, and I purchased a new one with the credit. So they do take care of their customers, even though it did take a little bit of my time to have to deal with customer service. Anyway, I love the tablet. We were using like a first generation iPad, super glitchy and ridiculous before, and I was afraid that because the iPad app or the iOS is so simple to use that my daughter might have trouble with this. Children never cease to amaze me with how quickly they pick up technology and understand exactly what to do with it. So I do recommend this product very much. And we also bought the little carrying case that it fits perfectly in. It gives her a handle, and it's got little pockets inside, so it gives us a place to keep the charger. The next item I always have in the car are books. My 4.5-year-old is at the point where we are reading chapter books and other books, but when we read bedtime stories, we are reading more advanced books for her. However, she is not reading on her own yet. We're just starting to work on that, 3-letter words and things like that. So that means that if she has a book that she's looking through on her own, she can't sit down and read all the words. So I give her books with lift the flap and pop-ups for the car, just because they keep her busy. Yes, they're too young for her technically, but they keep her busy, and she really enjoys that. So I had these are my Spot books from when I was a child. We also love the pop-up peekaboo books. I'll link them below for you guys, but this Spot book, it's very simple in terms of the wording, but every single page has some sort of flap that you can open and something to see behind it. So of course I've read these to her multiple times. She knows the story. She can more or less recite the story and then open the flaps and take a peek at what's inside. It just gives her something to do. Sometimes she makes up her own story to go with it, keeps her busy. Another item we find to be a lot of fun in the car is a kaleidoscope. This is a simple child's kaleidoscope. There are no glass parts. And you can see it's beads in plastic. This is not a fancy kaleidoscope, but when you look through it, when you turn it, it does make beautiful designs. She loves to get it set just right and hand it up to the passenger to show them the design that she's made in it. It's also kind of fun when you're driving, the light changes as you go through patches of sunlight and shade. So kaleidoscopes are a lot of fun. She can sometimes pretend this is a telescope too, pretend she's on a pirate ship. We do a lot of make-believe. It adds multiple dimensions to any toys. So telescope or kaleidoscope, it's a great thing to have in the car with you. One of our more recent additions, thanks to my mom, is this Interstate Highway Bingo. And this is a game that I believe is meant to be played with multiple people at once, and everybody has their bingo card, and it has things like train, cola sign, van, farmhouse, police car, motorhome, tank truck, river. There's all sorts of things you might see on a road trip on this. And as you see them, you cover the little area with this slider that turns it red, and whatever you're playing to, whether it be a straight line or full board, whoever would get that first would win, just like bingo. We don't have multiple players to play this most of the time, but she still very much enjoys it. Right now, instead of aiming for a straight line, she's just excited to find the things on here and get to close them. Starts a lot of conversations about why there are tank trucks, what they might be carrying. You know, there's so many different things on here. Motorcycles, tree groves, signs that say workers ahead. That brings her attention to the signs that we see on the road, and there's a lot of questions about that. So it can end up being quite educational, but also it keeps her busy. Eventually, once she gets better and knows all of these by heart, we will probably start challenging her to either get the straight line or, you know, fill most of the board or get a certain number out of the total. But so whether you have opponents or not, this can be very entertaining in the car. Back to playing make-believe, I think a great item to have in your car toy stash is a mask. My daughter loves this butterfly mask. I also did find on Amazon a package of superhero masks that I think are meant to give out to all the kids at a birthday party, but gosh, how fun it would be to have 5, 10 different masks for your child to choose from. But your child, just being themselves, might be feeling a little bit bored in the car and a little uninspired. Put a mask on them, and suddenly they've been transformed into a character that is either helping somebody, looking out for something, being a superhero. Changes the whole car ride. So it changes their mindset, it gets them excited about it, and I really love anything that broadens her or exercises her imagination. So this mask has brought a lot of joy to our car time. The next item I have for you is lacing toys. Now, these can be used for younger children too to get started, but my daughter still really loves them. She likes to do different stitches, so as you can see on this one, she's wrapped the lace around the edges. This one, most of them gone in and out all the way around. She doesn't really tire of these. She'll tire of them for a week or two and stop grabbing for them, but then she goes right back to them and loves them. I keep them in a Ziploc baggie and tuck them into our organizer that we keep on the back of our seat, or the back of my seat for her in the car. I will be doing a video on how we organize all these car toys coming up soon, so keep an eye out for that too. Another item we absolutely love is children's High Five magazine. So I know I was familiar with Highlights magazine. I grew up with Highlights. Since my childhood, they have expanded to have a much larger line that has different magazines for different age children. So I forget what the youngest age one is because I didn't know about it then. But there's one that's for younger children, and it has thicker, almost not quite laminated, but much thicker pages, and it's much more simplified and it's smaller for smaller hands. For the preschool age, High Five magazine is the one that we have a subscription to. And it has all sorts of fun things in here. Some of them she needs assistance with, like stories. They're short stories. But then there's things like hidden pictures. So she's learned how to do these on her own, so that's a great thing for her to do in the car. Even the stories have fun pictures. There's predictable items. So when she sees two pictures next to each other, she automatically knows that she's looking for the differences. So she doesn't need somebody to read her the instructions. She can do that on her own. There's always this page called That's Silly that has a picture with a bunch of very silly things in it. So the kids can look through and see what's silly, what isn't, a normal part of the picture. And then they'll even have like a little recipe you can try with the kids. So this is a car seat toy, but it's also an in the house toy, depending on, you know, what part of it you want to do. Here's a little project that you can do with the kids. Everything in here is really simple, but she loves to have it in the car. She loves getting it in the mail too. So that's another great part of it. Your kid gets something in the mail. Now, the last item I have for you sounds very mundane, coloring books and activity books, but as I promised at the beginning of the video, I do have a few little tips for you on how to handle them in the car a little bit more easily. So first of all, we do keep pens in the car, but crayons in the summer sometimes melt. So I really don't want crayons sitting around the car once it starts warming up a little bit. And markers I never allow in the car because, my goodness, if you lose the cap and that thing gets dropped, now you're driving and then there's an uncapped marker rolling around all over your carpet. Just the idea of it makes me nuts. So colored pencils have been the way to go for us. I'm not going to have a 4-year-old with a box of colored pencils though, because they will end up everywhere. So I give her a cup and I keep her colored pencils in the cup. It lives in a cup holder portion of the organizer on the back of the seat, but it could live in the not the high chair, the car seat cup holder, which is where she puts it while she's using it, or it could go in the door cup holder. Any old cup holder a cup's going to fit in, and that way she has all of her colored pencils, easy access. And the other tip I have for you is, you know, when they're working on a thicker coloring book like this, or, you know, activity book, that's great. We also love the dot to dots. She's getting really good at those, but I keep a clipboard in the car because it begins to get floppy depending on, you know, if you're on the very front pages or the back pages. So if it's getting a little floppy, you can just put it right on the clipboard. This is one with a weak spring, which I like because it doesn't pinch little fingers, but you can put it right on the clipboard for them, and you can, you know, center it or move it over, whatever page they want to work on. She can now do it herself. She understands how the clipboard works. So that is a great little tip to give them something hard to use it on, and you can close it on the clipboard, stick it in a pocket in the car, no big deal. So that's my bonus tip for you guys today. I hope some of these ideas will help you bring some new things into your car to make your car time with your kids a little more bearable or enjoyable depending on your circumstances. Luckily, once they hit preschool, they are a little bit easier to manage in the car in my experience. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up and hit the subscribe button and the little bell notification next to it to make sure you don't miss any future videos. It really does help support me when you do that, and I really appreciate it. You can find me at thecheekyhomemaker.com for a full written blog post on this topic as well as all of the other topics that I touch on. You can also find me at The Cheeky Homemaker for Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook. I hope to see you again soon. Bye.